All right, let's take a look at the dailies and go regional. Of course, we start off in Uganda, where they have a new CEO for the Ugandan Airlines, and that's what is on the front page of the Daily Monitor in Kampala. Uganda Airlines 3-in-1 CEO, and they say they've raised concerns that governance analysts have raised a red flag on the appointment of Mr. Girma Wake as Uganda Airlines acting CEO, external consultant, advisor, and board collaborator all in one, calling it a recipe for confusion. So he's a consultant. He's also the CEO, and he's also working with the board of Ugandan Airlines. So how exactly will it happen? They've been looking for a new CEO after the other one was fired. Remember, Yoweri Museveni said we are ending nyumbani. Yesterday we were looking at the dailies in Uganda, and they were talking about the crime wave in Kampala and other cities. Today on the front page of the Daily Monitor, they have a photo there of some youth who are rounded up. They say over 200 rounded up amid rising crime wave. So the police in Uganda have acted, and some of the suspects were arraigned at the City Hall Magistrates Court in Kampala, where they were separately charged with disturbing public peace, according to the local government's Maintenance Law and Order Ordinance of 2006. So yes, police in Kampala, Uganda are tackling that crime wave. So those are the two stories, a new CEO for the airline and the crime wave in Uganda.
They also make mention of the Ramadan and Lent season on page 2. You can read more about that. Still in Uganda, let's take a look at the new vision. Why USA wants Uganda's health data is a story that has been mentioned on page 5. They say new program sparks controversy. Experts speaks out. Time yetu ilipita.
Ilipita, you know, we were in December, the High Court actually stopped this deal.
Yes.
It was a $2.5 billion US deal. This was going to come to Kenya directly, and would have funded Kenyan health services to a huge extent. That's about 350 or 25 billion Kenya shillings, which is a huge deal. But there were serious concerns about the privacy of the data, and that we were giving away our sovereignty, giving personal data to the US. It is the same concern being raised in Uganda now. At least in the Kenyan case, the court stopped it in December.
Yes. Other quick headlines: Museveni and Cardinal Wamala meet. That's a story on the inside pages of this newspaper. Church orders 500 to vacate Kampala estate. Disability is not inability. It's another special feature here on page 4. And that's as far as Uganda is concerned.
All right, let's come back home and take a look at our local dailies. We start off with the Standard. Puti.
Atujenda bongo.
Atujenda bongo.
Atujenda bongo.
Na harakisha. Mimi kuna ile story nataka kuharakisha hapa Kenya. But anyway, let's go to Tanzania first.
We start off with the Citizen. Spotlight on key reforms to secure 2026 growth rate. It says Tanzania ended 2025 with strong economic growth, driven by a rise in exports, record gold revenues, and solid tax collection. However, industry experts warn that this stability is fragile and requires structural changes to sustain it. This is a story on the Business Daily of the Citizen newspaper. Zanzibar plans record 8.217 trillion shillings budget. 8 trillion shillings budget. That is for 2026, 2027. Yet imefika 4 point? Is it
4.7? 4.7 trillion.
4.7 trillion. Tuko tu hapo na
hii ni Zanzibar tu.
Hizi Zanzibar.
No, the main for Tanzania, the main budget I think is 63 trillion. Tanzanian money.
Anywho.
Usistuke sana.
Lakini unajua if we convert it to Kenyan shillings, about 4 point something there. 4.3.
I think 3
thereabout.
3 trillion Kenyan money.
Yeah. What else is killing the East African Commission is a story on page 3. We talked about it yesterday. EALA MPs are not getting paid at the moment. Modern hospitals surge, traditional remedies persist. 2 billion shillings boost for women and youth as the CRDB Bank Foundation steps in. That's the Citizen.
All right. Tukisalia kule Bongo, gazeti la Mwananchi, ushahidi fiche unakiuka haki. Sema ni uamuzi wa jopo la majaji watatu laagiza sheria iboreshwe kulinda usawa, haki upande wa utetezi, mashtaka, latoa miezi 12 kwa bunge. Masuala ya haki kotini. Wanaendelea na ile, kuna interview walifanyia huyu jamaa, huyu naibu mwenyekiti wa chama cha CCM. Bado wanaendelea, wanasema Wasira afunguka, huku kwenye siasa hakuna msamiati wa kustaafu. Yeye mwenyewe ni mzee, so anasema hakuna kustaafu, hakuna msamiati. Hiyo vocabulary ya retirement hawaielewi kwa politics. Kwingineko, sarakasi mgogoro wa CUF. Ni wafuasi wa chama cha wananchi CUF wakiwa kwenye vikundi wakati wa polisi walipoingia kwenye eneo la ofisi zao kule Buguruni, Dar es Salaam, baada ya kuibuka kwa vurugu na makundi yanayovutana. Chama cha kisiasa lakini wanapelekana mbio kweli kweli. Bajeti ya SMZ kupanda hadi trilioni 8.2, yani bajeti ya island inaitwaje? Kisiwa cha Zanzibar. Pale juu. Lissu shahidi walivyotoana jasho kotini. Habari hii tuliangazia hapo jana.
Yes. Alisema shahidi alimruka. Kipetero kiesu.
Alimruka kweli kweli. Let's come back and take a look at the local dailies, and we start with the Standard, which talks about the story that I'm really interested in, and it's putting the city of Nairobi on sale. And I'm going by the words used on the front page of the Standard. So lazima iwak. Governor Johnson Sakaja's dramatic handshake with President William Ruto has sparked off a political storm in the capital. Now, after vowing to make Nairobi work, the youthful politician now stands accused of quietly surrendering core county functions to the very center he once promised to challenge. Critics see echoes of the old NMS takeover. This happened during Sonko's time. Allies call it pragmatic rescue, but for residents choking on garbage, traffic and water shortages, the 80 billion shilling deal feels like collaboration. Feels less like collaboration and more like an auction. Pages 4 and 5 dedicated to this story. So, and we'll be talking to some senators about this because there are provisions in the Urban Areas and Cities Act for this cooperation. There are also provisions for transfer of functions in our constitution. It is not illegal, but the insistence by Governor Sakaja that that is not what is happening. It's not at it's not what it looks like.
Yes.
It's not what it looks like.
It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. It's not what it looks like.
Yes.
But everyone is saying, we can see what it looks like. If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's definitely a duck. Or what do you think? So that's the argument. And that's the only story on the front page of the Standard.
How 80 billion shilling state Nairobi deal will transform the capital city.
One of the most promising things there is probably the promise that the national government will take up the lighting of the city of Nairobi. They say about 40,000 lighting points. Can you imagine how many street lights they're talking about? So people are saying, okay, fine, the county government should have been able to do that. How come simple things like street lighting, garbage collection, water provision is a big problem? Those are the main functions. If at all you're signing on those, aren't you transferring the functions? So it is more of a legal argument than a political one. It is, have you transferred the functions? So we'll be looking at that. Huyu jamaa anaitwa Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson is a reverend kule US. Wakati Barack Obama became president, the first time in 2008, was it 2008 or 2004? Yeah, Jesse Jackson cried.
Why?
He cried.
He
was there even with Martin Luther King back in the day. Now seeing the first black president of the US walking down with his family to make his inaugural speech, this guy cried.
Wow.
It is there on video. Niliona. That story is on page 3. On the back page, is facing a Champions League playoff really that bad? 24 sides still have dreams of lifting the Champions League trophy this season. PSG recorded the biggest win in the Champions League final when they beat Inter Milan 5-0. Wow. The Champions League returned yesterday, and some of Europe's biggest names will be back in action earlier than they would have hoped. So Champions League stories back on the back page. Is number 10 role the next step for Arsenal? Saka, news about Saka, Arsenal fans, something to look forward to on the back page of the Standard. That's the Standard this morning.
All right, on the Daily Nation, State House Sakaja deal to run Nairobi City. It's a story, just a continuation, the one we've seen on the front page of the Standard. But the main story here is a push for Ruto and Uhuru truce. At a glance, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed brokered the talks in Addis Ababa on the sidelines of the two-day 39th African Union Summit that closed on February 15. There's a source that I have been quoted here by this newspaper, and it says the president told the Prime Minister Abiy that he had done all within his powers to embrace Mr. Kenyatta in retirement, but all that had proved futile.
Yes. And you know, now this is breaking into the regional scene, because now you see the AU is taking it up. Why? Because these two gentlemen are key to some of the processes that are of interest to some of these countries, including peace in the DRC and management of the feud between the rebels. But it is said that the president and his predecessor are not in good working terms. So inaleta shida beyond Kenya. And wanasema now there's a new push for them to work together.
Yeah, because now former president is recognized even regionally.
Yes,
still.
And he has specific jobs he has to do regionally.
Yeah.
So if they don't work together, it affects everything. Remember that President William Ruto is the current chair of the EAC.
Yes.
So kwa hii region lazima ufanye kazi.
Yes. Lazima wapatane tu.
Lazima tu wapatane.
It says that President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta in recent years have had frosty relations that never thawed even after the 2022 power transfer. Lately, the tension between the two former allies turned rivals has only eased twice, albeit through short-lived public shows of camaraderie in 2024 and 2025. Last weekend, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed tried to reunite the duo, and they ask, will the truce hold? There's a story on page 4 and 5. President Ruto and Governor Johnson Sakaja witnessed the signing at State House of a cooperation agreement to improve services in key sectors of the county, but insisted the arrangement did not mirror the Nairobi Metropolitan Services style takeover of functions in 2020. Unaona insist this that does not mirror what happened during the
It is not what it looks
era. Insist sana.
It means that there are so many people who see it as something similar to NMS. So how different is it exactly? Probably that is what we need, probably even the Senate to explain to us, okay, fine, this is different in this way.
Yeah, clearly more questions. And I'm curious to know how or when this 80 billion shillings will be transferred in order for this deal to be, operationalized. Okay,
at least one of the differences is that this money is itemized. So like 2.5 billion going straight to lighting or something like that, another 2-3 billion going straight to water resources. It's not a lump sum amount just to the county to do these things, yes. But there will still be another level, another layer of governance where we will be chaired by the Prime Cabinet Secretary. So it's another layer of people taking care of the city, away from the national government and the county government, another group hapa katikati. Sio ni kama tu NMS, but anyway.
It's not what it looks like.
It is not what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
The quick headlines, on the top strip, ex-soldiers among 33 new Kenyan recruits for Russia war, counting heavy losses after airport workers strike. The strike was called off yesterday. And on page 3, they talk about proposals to relax rules on licensing teachers. On the back page, it's all system go as 2026 Magical Kenya Open starts. It talks about golf. Overall tournament winner will take home a total of 60 million shillings. No resting for local sky after Italy Olympics feat, and that's the Daily Nation.
All right, habari ile iliyo kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Daily Nation ndio iko pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Wapatanishwa. Duru zasema waziri mkuu wa Ethiopia anajaribu kuwaleta pamoja rais wa zamani wa Kenya Uhuru Kenyatta na rais wa sasa William Ruto kama njia moja ya kufanikisha mchakato wa amani DRC. Yes. So imebainika kuwa uhasama kati ya Rais William Ruto na Rais mstaafu Uhuru Kenyatta ulichipuka wiki jana katika kikao cha Umoja wa Afrika AU, wawili hawa wakilaumiana katika mkutano wa faragha ambao uliandaliwa na Waziri Mkuu wa Ethiopia Abiy Ahmed kuwapatanisha. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili. Kando na hayo kuna vidokezo zaidi, wa Kenya 33 zaidi waenda vitani Russia. As some people complain kwamba watu wanauawa kule Russia. Kuna wale wanatoka Kenya wanaenda Russia. Wanasema mimi huko ndo nataka kwenda. Na Russia imekuwa sana, kuna mtu Mrusi mwingine anakuja Kenya, shughuli zingine tofauti, wengine wanaenda Urusi.
Wanasumbua home and away.
Kwingineko, county sasa zapigania shilingi bilioni 114. Pale UDA-DP pia Kwama na Waititu wapinga ombi, akataa ombi la baba yao kutaka masharti ya dhamana yalegezwe. Waititu amekuwa kizimbani, amekuwa korokoroni kwa muda sasa, zaidi ya mwaka mmoja. Masuala ya kando ya nchi. Nje ya nchi. Wanajeshi 100 wa USA, wale Marekani, wanatua Nigeria. Wanajeshi hao wamewasili kwa operesheni dhidi ya waasi wa Kiislamu wanaua Wakristo. Now I think this is the first instance that America is coming into Africa and saying we're going to take action or charge of a situation here. We saw what they did in Venezuela. Now they're coming to say, okay, fine. President Trump said, whatever is happening in Nigeria with the killing of Christians, we will come. Finally, they have 100 soldiers on the ground. Maswala ya sporty, pressure Arsenal kulaza Wolves leo. Vinara wa EPL wapania kufungua mwanya wa alama 7 kileleni. Taifa Leo.
All right, let's take a look at the People Daily now. Inside UDA's fierce fight for the deputy president's seat. It's a story on page 4 and a lot of faces here on the front page. Of course, there's the deputy president, Kithure Kindiki, and Ndindi Nyoro is also here. Rungu Kangata is here. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, is also here. And of course, Anne Waiguru is also here on the front page. Replacing Kindiki is what the People Daily wanasema. Lakini Kindiki has said, maybe the deputy president.
I like this angle that the People Daily has taken because so far we've been discussing the running mate position in as far as ODM's negotiation in the coalition. But now this is within UDA.
Yeah.
They're saying within UDA there's already competition for that position.
Yeah.
And they say, if you read the story, that some of these ones who are competing for that position are even refusing to attend meetings by the current deputy president. That akiorganize kikao mahali hawakuji. Sababu wanataka hicho kiti.
Wow.
Yeah. So
infighting
about that. So it's even beyond the coalition building plan. So this is one of the discussions we'll be having today on State of the Nation.
All right. Why devolution is under threat in the tug of war between Senate and the Council of Governors. People Daily wamekwamilia sana hiyo story, but they've made mention of it on page 5. Has Linda Mwananchi caught Ruto and the United Opposition off guard? They asked that question on page...
Very good question.
8, it is.
Because it looks like a status quo has been challenged kidogo. Both sides of the political divide are feeling, hawa wametoka hapi sahi.
Yeah, they've also talked about it on the Standard, page 8. CS Badi now urged Sifuna and Babu faction to consider ceasefire talks.
You know, that's a retraction probably of what he had said earlier. He had said watoke waende, watoke chamani. Sasa amesema pengine wasitoke sahi.
Sasa ni kama imewapata off guard. This is a story on page 8 of the People Daily, and that's the People Daily.
Right. On the Star today, Kindiki factor, same thing. How DP fight is shaking ODM UDA poll talks. So yes, a big discussion, running mate for next year for President William Ruto. And will it be Professor Kithure Kindiki? Is his position as deputy president under threat? ODM leader Uhuru has said his party targets the number 2 position. Now we've seen, even according to the People Daily, even within the UDA party, there are people, other people beyond Professor Kindiki who are interested in that position. A very interesting photo pale chini on the front page of the Star. Did you know that there's a National Intelligence Research University?
Oh, wow.
Yes. They had a graduation ceremony yesterday. So kuna yule Director General of NIS, Nurdin Haji, amevaa ile mavazi ya chancellors wa university. And then interestingly, we can see former spy chiefs, wanaitwaje, Michael Gishangi and Philip Kameru, who've been bosses of the NIS. Wote walikuwa hapo in attendance. And then President William Ruto was a chief guest at that event yesterday. Other stories, a dollar paradox. Experts warn the strong shilling hiding a bigger problem. I remember some of the Bretton Woods institutions had complained that the shilling is too stable and they feel it's being manipulated. That stability is not really natural.
So they wanted to go higher?
They wanted to
lower?
Yeah, they say the shilling's performance against the US dollar should not be that strong. So they're saying now, experts are warning that the strong shilling is hiding a bigger problem. I think economic experts understand that better. United opposition leaders threaten to hold nationwide protests over IG Kanja snub. They promised that every Friday starting this week, they will be protesting. Na pamoja na their supporters, not just the leaders.
Okay.
Pale juu, erectile dysfunction. See doctor, Mukombero won't get you going. That story is on page 3 of the Star. Sasa wakiambia watu Mukombero haifanye kazi. A urologist has said that there is no scientific evidence that the root Mukombero treats erectile dysfunction. So unakula tu miti na.
Yes, hakuna kitu inakusaidia nayo.
Well, that story is on page 3 of this paper. You can read more about it. All right, that's the Star.
And we can tie it to what's happening in Tanzania. They talk about mitishamba. Ni poison, ni dawa, ama tu ni
unakula tu vitu na ujui nini. Unapewa tu matawi.
Enda hospitali wewe. Business Daily, Kenya 6 ID cards from Elon Musk's Starlink users. It says Kenyan authorities have issued a demand to Elon Musk's Starlink to provide national identity cards, postal addresses, and phone numbers of its subscribers to curb cybercrime amid surveillance and privacy concerns. Now, it says Starlink has informed its satellite internet subscribers that services risk being discontinued for May if they fail to provide the identification documents for the state or for state to use. And Kenyan regulations require all operators to register mobile phone line users to help curb phone-based crimes. The state had dropped their slackness in seeking registration for satellite internet subscribers in the wake of the surge of Starlink's rollout and dominance. This is a story on page 2.
Some people may see this as an attempt by the Kenyan authorities to control the availability of internet in Kenya.
Yeah.
I remember there are threats that wanaweza shut down internet anytime. But now with Starlink, which is satellite-based, that could also be a challenge. So wanasema tunataka kujua kila mtu mwenye ako na Starlink. Tupatie ID. Tujule.
Interesting times. 6 counties snub 1.3 billion shillings from Poverty Fund. It says, under the Equalization Fund, these 6 counties failed to present project proposals for approval. An audit has revealed denying residents better access to amenities such as clean water, roads, and healthcare.
It's calling it the Poverty Fund that's a bit, probably people might see it as offensive. It's the Equalization Fund. So counties that are marginalized, really marginalized, ile pesa wanapewa kando ile ya kuboost, ndio tunawapea ile kawaida, lakini tunaongezea nyinyi sababu mko na shida zaidi. But when you call it Poverty Fund, anyway.
Inaitangwa aje ku attract the reader. You know, if you see poverty, everyone would want to read about it. State House and of course City Hall signed deal for infrastructure funding. They also make mention of it. There's a photo here of Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and the Nairobi governor as they exchange the documents during the signing of a cooperation agreement between the national government and the county government of State House.
Wameongezea Prime CS kazi.
Absolutely.
Sasa he has to run Nairobi as well. Anyway.
On the Thika Industrialist step-up push for lower electricity costs, maritime project in limbo as court backs Chinese firm in Landrau, and investors bid 400 billion shillings in recent bond and treasury bill sales. That's the business daily.
All right, let's go straight to the cartoons. This morning we start off with the